Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Have your hands. Some more. Just get some more.
Well, hello, and welcome to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. And tonight we had Ethan Spalding with us from Buzzard's Roost. So I am excited to delve into this because you know how much we love the brand and what they do with some of the products and the twists they put on things. But before we go any further, Mike, do you want to tell people about the Bar Cart Co-op right away?
I'd be happy to do that.
I thought so.
All right. We are proud members of the Bar Cart Co-op, which is a collection of friends, great content for the whiskey and other distilled spirits public. The Bar Cart Co-op YouTube and Facebook pages have information about upcoming and past special shows, which happen about every quarter. There have been blind tastings, distiller panels, discussions of special collaborations, and the usage of unique grains. The Bar Cart Co-op has educational and fun episodes for your enjoyment. The oldest in that group is the Distillers Talk, which is hosted by Christy Atkinson and Alan Bishop. It's a conversation with people from distilleries and distillery adjacent that gets into deep and sometimes off the rails and back again conversations. New episodes arrive at the end of the work week. And if that one is not nerdy enough, you know to go to One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute. That's where Alan Bishop answers any questions about distilling and often puts them to the test. It could be individual grains, entire mash bills, equipment, or methodology. New episodes come out randomly, so subscribe to that. And then they have Bourbon Turntable, where they mix the love of music with the love of whiskey. They have conversations with musicians, writers, distillery folks, and common folks about music and whiskey. It releases every Wednesday on all your platforms, including YouTube. Also, past shows of that have included Liberty Pole Spirits, the band Revelry, another band called In Theory. The Cold Stairs have been on a few times. They recently had a round table. There is going to be a special, I can't remember if it's going to be live or it's going to be recorded coming up here pretty soon.
Live.
And then Maggie Kimbrell is another upcoming guest, and Ethan was a past guest on there recently. And then we have If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything, which is a show about the spirits and paranormal among us, as well as the unexplained and the spiritual. Subscribe on Spotify to get the 4 previous seasons and learn about, so especially this time of year, some really cool spooky distillery stories. And last but not least, we have the Whiskey in My Ring podcast. There it is. What David Levine does a great job with interviews. He does a great job keeping track of all of his reviews. David gets into the weeds with all of his guests and his interviews and his reviews of whiskey. And as we say, David does all the things that we don't do. There we go.
Very good. I like that. That was excellently done.
Well, thank you.
So, Ethan, I want to thank you for coming on the show, taking some time out of your busy life on a Monday evening. We always appreciate that because we're not cutting into your day. We're cutting into your actual real life. So we appreciate the time you're spending with us. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having us, having me. I'm usually used to having Jason beside me, so thanks for having me. I was happy to come on.
So this is a Jason safe space. So say whatever you want.
I can't keep looking over my shoulder.
If he pops in, I would be hysterical.
Yeah.
You sent him an invite, didn't you?
Yeah, he's hiding back in the green room.
Yeah.
So,
but I know you guys had met recently, but unfortunately I haven't. And I know, how about this? What brought you to Buzzard Roost? What happened before to bring you into the business that you're in right now?
Yeah, so I always tell everybody that I was born into it. So I was born in Lebanon, Kentucky, which is right in the heart of Kentucky. It's in the same county as Maker's Mark, so I grew up in that area. And my dad works for Independent Stave Company currently. He's a sales manager there for a lot of the craft distilleries, and covers the states, all the way from Washington State all the way down to Florida and everywhere in between. And he sells barrels to quite a few people that you all have probably had on here. And so that's what I thought I was going to do, was I was going to sell barrels for a living like my dad. And so I went to school for marketing, did not end up doing marketing. And so I was after graduating, I started getting more into the bourbon side of things, starting with tourism. So if you all have seen some of the touring companies around Louisville, Lexington, or just in Kentucky in general, I started with a private company there, and then figured that I wanted to get more into the production side of it. So I kind of dove into that a little bit more, and ended up knowing somebody that works at Independent Stave Company that knows Jason, so he got me in contact with them, and then I got to talking with Jason and Judy, and they were kind of going to start at the ground level with Buzzard Roost with their distillery, and I was kind of starting at ground level as a producer or distiller, so we kind of started at the same time and are growing together.
Excellent.
Very cool. So I got to ask a question. Just because you mentioned both Jason and Judy, they seem to be so very, very different from each other. But because whereas Jason's got, I'll say Jason's got a good kind of, I'll call it a stereotypical male swagger, and well earned. I'll say it's earned. He has definitely earned that. I only got to spend a little bit of time with Judy in there. Mm-hmm. She's got a little swagger herself, but she seems really reserved about it. What's the dynamic between the two of them? Is it like a mom and dad kind of thing, or are they yin and yang, or how's it working?
Well, that's what everybody says is yin and yang, or mom and dad. But the way I look at it, kind of like you were saying, Jason, he'll walk in the building and you know what his mood is. Yeah. You know if he's going to be happy or mad, or if he's ready to talk or ready to just set the world on fire. And Judy is somewhat the opposite. You can never tell. Like, she could be having the worst day, and you come up to her and be like, "Hey, Judy, how's it going?" And she's like, "Oh, just great." And meanwhile, the other side of things is just falling apart. But they both bring really good things to the table, with Jason being able to talk more about the brand a little bit more in public, and he loves to do it. Judy loves talking about the brand as well, but she likes handling business and taking care of getting the whiskey to where Jason is going to talk about it. So they both have their upsides that they bring, and I love working for them. They are phenomenal people outside of the workspace. So
yeah, that's cool. Mm-hmm. I do want to start just because we're starting in on the Kindred collaboration, mm-hmm. which because you touched on your dad and his history, but if you would start on talking about this while we move into some of the other subjects about what this bottle is, and what started it, and what's coming next, I guess.
Yeah. So let's see. This all started back in April of 23, I believe. And Jason and Judy both got a hold of me, and they were like, "Hey, we got some product, we don't really know what to do with, because everything else that we have of our SKUs was planned for, and it was down." And so they were like, "We got some product, we don't really know what to do with it. So we think it'd be really cool if we did like a distiller's release, and you go design your own barrel to secondary ages product in, because everything that we do at Buzzard Roost is a double oak product." Mm-hmm. And we have currently 17 different proprietary barrels that we double oak those products in. And so they wanted to add an 18th. So they thought it'd be cool if I put my mind to it. So I went down to Independent Stave in Lebanon, Kentucky. I went to the research center, which just so happens to be where my dad's office is. And he was just initially helping me set up the tasting and all these glasses and whatnot, because I had no idea what it was about. And the main research and development guy there, Andrew Webrink, was not mm-hmm. in the building that day. So usually he heads that stuff up, but my dad thought it'd be cool if he helped me out. So me and him sat down, and he was kind of, you know, picking my brain, going through, like he was sitting on the other side of the table of me, just watching. He's like, "We think about that one. We think about that one." And I was like, "Man, why don't you try it?" And so we started going back and forth, and ended up being us collaborating on this barrel and designing it. And initially, when we designed it, so it was a wave stave barrel, if you've ever heard of that. So the inside of the barrel is grooved out, and it's got little peaks and valleys. And then what we did with our barrels is we toast them all first. So we had to put a toast on this, and this was a sweeter toast. And then we put a char one on it, which is kind of the thing that Buzzard Roost does a whole lot. And so those three combinations of that specific toast and wave stave and that char one had never been put together before. So when we did it, he was like, "Man, I don't know if I want to be able to do this." He said, "I got to call the guys up at Missouri and see if we can even do this." And so just like classic dad, text message the next day, he just sends me a thumbs up. And so we were good to go with that. So we put it down, I believe in either June or July of 23. And then we were kind of keeping an eye on it, and we pulled it out almost exactly a year later and blended it together. And I'm a barrel strength drinker, 100 plus. My dad is 100 minus. And so I thought we were going to butt heads with this, and we tried it at barrel strength, and it was really good, but it was just a little drying. It was a little more tannic on the front end than our products normally are. So we did it at 105, which is like the Buzzard Roost, you know, that's their standard is 105. And so we tried it at that, and then we both kind of looked at each other and we were like, pretty good. So we met in the middle there. It's not below 100, which is what I like to see, but it's not barrel strength. So we ended up, you know, that's what we ended up with, and I'm pretty proud of it. I think it's pretty solid.
It is very solid. There's so one of the things that we have that Kevin also does, we call it fat guy or fat kid tasting notes. So because there's certain flavors, but there is a vanilla frosting on the nose on this. And I was trying to figure out what the taste of it was, because I was like, all right, is it vanilla frosting on like a snickerdoodle? But there's something a little citrusy too on it. But then it actually hit me. There's my mom only cooked a few things really, but there's one dessert she would make, and it was, I'm not Italian, but she would make this Italian cream cake, and it had this frosting on it and everything else. And that's what this thing is like on the palate, with all the flavors come through it. Man, it's good. I mean, this is it's desserty, but not like not in your face sickening dessert like some can, you know. I mean, this is like, hey, this is easy.
Yeah, I was gonna say light. I was gonna say lighter medium, like on the nose. And you're saying I was getting like a honey, a lemon, like a little citrus, like you're saying on top of this pastry, but I couldn't hit it, and it's not thick because of that char one and other stuff, which is neat because it's light and playful, but it's not like effervescent and super fruit or like kind of a wine cask finish. It settles into those notes really well.
Yeah, that's the thing that we've been mostly getting back on that one, is that it's very sweet. Like it has a lot of those rich flavors, but it's not overpowering, and that comes a lot from that toast that we put on it.
Yeah, you get just the right amount of like little baking spice punch. It's a 21% rye mash bill, so we had to even out that somewhat higher rye mash bill with a little bit of sweetness, and so that's where that barrel came from, because we wanted to balance that out. So, and I mean, you can see just how dark it is. That's that wave stave helps out a ton with that color. That's only a 4.5-year-old product.
So, speaking of the product line, because up to now, would it be fair to say everything that's been bottled has been MGP distillate at this point?
Yeah, 100%. Okay,
but about how long until it's not? Because you guys are also because you're doing basically. I mean, you're not doing first pass. I mean, you're doing you have a doubler that you guys are running, which if you would talk about the still, but When did you guys did you start a year ago or almost a year ago running stuff at the experience?
At the distillery, yeah. So we started, I think, a year ago in September was the first run that we did.
Okay.
And that was a lot of trial and error. We had a couple weeks where we were like running it twice a week because we were just trying to figure it out. And that could be, for us, the first time we did it, we used 55-gallon stainless steel drums. It's a 75-gallon doubler. So we threw the whole thing of whiskey in there at 120 proof, and we distilled it, and it took about 3 hours. And the lowest we got was 156 proof. So we were like, okay, so we need to figure this out. So we finally figured it out, and I would say right around this time last year we were really pumping out product. And so we distilled a lot of stuff, and we put down 17 barrels on February 14th of this year. So with that Char 1, we're kind of the only ones that I know of that are doing this Char 1 aging on the primary side instead of the secondary. So we don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, obviously, we didn't go into this with no research. And, we were like, well, it's either going to flop or it's not. Like, we know it's going to work. But we just don't know our range limit of aging because that Char 1 is so thin compared to Char 4. So we think in a 3.5, 4-year-old time period, we're going to have a really good product. And so, I mean, I think me personally, right in the bottle and bond age is going to be right about perfect. So right at 4 years should be really nice, especially the time of year that we put it in, where it's a little bit cooler and it's going to have 3 or 4 full summers on it.
That's neat.
Okay.
You guys, and I like what you're saying, like aging in that time frame there where you're talking about like 4 years. We're up in Wisconsin. I think a lot of times for some of the products, we need an extra year or two once we hit 5. Not saying things can't be good before then. It's just once you hit 5, you're like, oh,
yeah.
Things really did come together here, and then it starts to build afterwards. Right. But yeah.
Right. And it's not like we're going to stop at 4 every time. Like we want to, like I said, we don't really know the ranges of those Char 1 barrels. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull some out, obviously at 4 or 5 years old, but we're going to let it go until it's not good anymore. So, we're going to keep testing it as it's aging. And if it comes out to be that 5.5 years is too much until it starts getting super tannic and oaky, then we'll pull it out, and that'll be kind of our limit. But we want to, push the boundaries as far as we can with, producing.
You got to see where stuff goes. I was going to say,
exactly.
Some of that 156 stuff did by chance some of it make it into a barrel every now and then?
No, we actually so what we did is we separated it and then proofed it back down and redistilled it again. So technically we have a triple distilled whiskey out there.
So I mean, Jason's kind of proven himself. He's got a we'll say he's got a decent palate. Mm-hmm. Are you how is yours in comparison, or are you following along with anyone's palate there, or are you like you kind of have your own or complementary to what they're picking up?
That's a really good question. I mean, first of all, props to Jason. His palate is really nice. He's never really steered me wrong on anything or anybody with a product or anything bad. So I try to learn a little bit from him, but that is kind of the one thing, like he doesn't share a whole lot of. It's either, and he's kind of like me before, we even met. I'd try something and it'd be like, that's good. And not really trying to pick out any specific things. It's, it's either good or bad. And that's kind of his thing is we'll be trying some product or trying some white dog or something, and he'll shoot it back and be like, oh, yeah, that's it right there. And so I would say
to interpret what's going on. Okay.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah, exactly. And so we'll break it down every now and then, especially on our distillate, just to kind of know where we're at and to be able to repeat those same notes. But My palate, I mean, I'm still learning. Like, I'm still fairly young, so I haven't had exposure to a ton of things. I try to try everything, because the more diverse your palate is, the better it gets. So I have certain things that I look for when I taste a product that I really like. I have a sweet tooth, but not an overly sweet tooth. So, I was a maker's kid growing up in that area. So that's what everybody drank. And so that's kind of what I cut my teeth on. And so that sweeter wheat profile is kind of up my alley. But like I said, I'm a 100+ proof drinker. So I like the raw, strong edge of notes. And so I really like really complicated things, and I may not be able to pull out exactly what every single note is, but I'm getting better at, narrowing it down and kind of figuring out what I like. But on the distillate side of it, I feel like, I do that every day now. So I feel like I'm getting pretty good at that.
Well, and like
what's your, what?
Sorry, Mike.
No, go ahead. Go.
I was going to say, with you trying other stuff, it's always something we love to hear, because even people who have established products right now have a section where you might hear a story where, well, we were only trying our stuff, and then we thought it was all good, and then shit. Not that it was bad, but it was like, you didn't keep your palate awake and aware of other things to kind of really gauge where you were at. So that's what I can see with some newer people that are coming in the industry as well. When they come into the drinking side of it, like they're just getting into bourbon. Like, we have some people come in, and that's what the best part about my job is, whenever people come in and they're trying our stuff and they're like, hey, I've only been doing this whiskey thing for like 6 months or a year. And, they, instead of finding one product they like and just sticking to that and just saying everything else sucks, they're coming into a craft brand like us and trying our products. That's really cool. Like, you don't really see that a whole lot anymore, because so many people are just you're starting to see it a lot more than you used to, but not everybody is staying on one brand for their entire collection. Like, everybody's shelves are like Mike's back there. It's just different.
So, well, let me ask you, what you said you cut your teeth on makers. What's your comfort whiskey?
Let me see. Man, I always get a good one out of Makers 46 cask strength, or any of the Makers like wood finishing series. Man, they always make good stuff. And the 46 to me was kind of where I figured out I have a sweet tooth, because I was like, man, this is so much better than everything else. And somebody else, my dad's a Four Roses guy, and he would drink that. He's like, "Woo, it's way too sweet." And I'd go, try their Four Roses. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I do like sweet stuff. So, and then I found out that they have the cask strength, and I was like, "Oh, this is love right here." I was like, "This is awesome." So I always try and fall back on that one.
All right, so let me ask you a follow up to that. Do you have a guilty pleasure whiskey?
Oh man. Well, back home it'd still be Makers, because everybody's like, I used to drink that stuff in high school. And it's like, now I would say my guilty pleasure. Oh man. Michter's Rye. I don't know why. I feel like everybody, you either love it or hate it, and I like it.
That's fair.
Very divisive.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that too. Sometimes I like it when it's like one side or the other. Like, you have people are like, oof, and you're like, he's not gonna. Mike knows I have anise issues, or black licorice issues, and there's points.
Oh yeah,
I can respect it, and I do like it in some of them, and a lot. But there are times where it's just like, Mike's like, oh, you're not. You don't even taste it.
But like Michter's Rye is perpetually on sale at the liquor store down the street from me. Like, always on sale, and I have no issue with it. Yeah. And if you want to go in there, it's on sale every month. It's always listed on a monthly special. We can go down there anytime and go pick it up.
It's like that one. I always see. I've never watched this series, but it's that one clip off of "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia," and he's like, he's talking about orange juice. He's like, "Oh, people drink straight mixers," and so when I tell some people that I like Michter's rye, they're like, "Oh, you like straight mixers?"
I love that part in that show. People drink them.
Yeah, people drink them. Yeah.
Are you
Coke mixer?
Are you a big Always Sunny fan?
I've never seen the show. I just see that.
Oh, seriously?
It cracks me up every time.
Oh, it's I'm fans. So is my son, but we've got a new dog who's new to us by a couple of weeks, and he's a corgi. So it looks like a potato with legs, but also we're like, he looks like Danny DeVito. and so he's got, because they have a fat neck and a little head, you can't put a normal collar on them because they can pull out of it. Right. And so my son says, you know what this is like? This is like that episode where Frank, as Danny DeVito, is like, Frank was trying to hang himself, but his neck was so fat that he couldn't hang himself. But it was true. So,
oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I thought you were going to say, since you got a new dog, you had to rewatch the show again to let him watch it.
Yeah, I would be up for it, but man, now it's so many seasons in. That's a lot of my life I'd have to get back watching that.
It's like Grey's Anatomy.
Luckily, I don't have to watch that show anymore.
Yeah.
But now got me thinking, like, how many seasons? Like, because what was it? MASH was on for 13, so I know some other ones were on for.
Always 15. Sunny's on like 17 or 19. It's an odd number one. It's high.
I'm just saying, it's long.
Yeah, it's been on it for a while. Okay, so I know you're a year into making your stuff there, but aside from the Kindred collaboration, is there a whiskey that you're like, I want to make this type of, even before you started there, I want to make a whiskey like this? Is that still a thing, or is it something that have you thought about it recently?
Like, is there a standard that I was wanting to go for? Is that
or just say I like
a certain mash bill.
You want to make something akin to Maker's 46 cast strength, or something like that. You're like, I want to blow Makers out of the water.
Well, good luck at that.
I know you can't beat Makers at their game, but
yeah. That is something I've never really thought of. I went into this just like empty, like I wasn't trying to prove anything or trying to beat anybody. I was just trying to make the best whiskey I could with what I had. So in the future, now that I've had time to think about it, I would like to. I think 4 grains are fun. Mixing in those 2 different grains is is really cool. I've tried some really cool single barrels and just really cool products that are 4 grain products, and I really want to get into that and see what that is, because it seems difficult, and I love difficult stuff. And so with that being said, it sounds like everybody that I've talked to, in particular my granddad, he says that rye is the worst to work with. So I haven't done anything with that. I mean, obviously with growing up where I did, weeded is always
like Kevin's trying to stir the pot.
It goes well with Coke. Yeah, hey, they all go good with Coke, man.
That's part of an industry, so you can't,
Yeah. But I would say the next, like, most basic thing, I would really like to narrow down the wheat mash bill. I think that would be really fun because you can do some different things with that.
What mash bills have you guys been running on your still?
So we've ran for 365 days a 70% corn, 21% rye mash bill, or 70% corn, 21% rye, 9% malted barley. So that's what we've ran from this time last year to now. So we are mainly focusing on the bourbon side of it, just to go ahead and get some of that in barrels. But we are looking at doing a wheated mash bill and a rye mash bill in the future, because obviously we have both of those products now, so we want to have that in the future as well.
So Kevin mentioned your granddad, which we didn't really get into that too much earlier, but that's kind of that's That's a pretty good connection. You want to tell us about your granddad?
Yeah, so my granddad is Steve Nally. He's currently the master distiller at Bardstown Bourbon Company. Part of the reason why I cut my teeth on Makers was because he had a lot of bottles around. Because he used to be the master distiller at Maker's Mark, and then he retired and went to Wyoming, and then he retired again and came back to Bardstown. I always say he's like in his Jordan era. He's Michael Jordan. Yeah. He retired twice, but he's doing a little bit better now at Bardstown than Michael Jordan did at his Wizards era. So,
yeah. No gambling charges or anything like that.
Not currently. Not currently. I don't know if he could figure out DraftKings on his phone. But that's also a reason why I want to push myself on a wheated mash bills, because he's known as the wheat king. So I would like to see if I can stand up to him.
Yeah, go down that path.
Yeah, he's making a good product.
Yeah, he does all right.
I'm going to pour some of the Founders Weeder that might.
That's what I got as well.
Talking about it, so.
It's a good segue.
I started drinking the other one. That bottle was getting kind of empty.
Hey, it's easy to do, man. We got more coming up, so you're more than welcome to get some.
That is neat.
Yeah, this weeder is actually really cool. So I don't know if this is a spoiler, but the next thing that we're going to try was our first weeded product that we put out. And this is the first ever weeded single barrel that we've ever done. So it's a 45% wheat mash bill. So it's really high because it's like 51, 45, 4.
Really?
So, yeah, and it does not even drink close to like a normal wheat product, because a lot of times for me, some wheat products, they just kind of dissipate. Like they get to your mid palate and you're like, oh, that's going to be really good, and it just does not finish at all. And so I think this one, I think they design. I didn't get to design this barrel or be a part of that, which Jason and Judy do a really good job anyway. But they did a really good job of making this barrel balance out all that sweetness, because it has both. It has sweetness, but it also has. It almost seems like there is a little bit of rye in there.
I was gonna say, because it's this little bit of like, almost like a dry. Where it goes from the corn to the wheat, where it overlays for a second, where it gets like, God, it's not a hay note, but it's this dry.
It's like a wheat bread or something.
Yeah, it's honey wheat. My God. I'm sorry. I wasn't even thinking wheat. I was in wheat. I was just sometimes I try to block out what you're drinking and just let whatever it is come to you. But it's like,
so you know what I have written down? This is not kidding at all. That I have this is my fat guy note aside from the other notes. Honey on bread, and then you put it in the pan and caramelize it on both sides a little bit.
Heck yeah, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one thing I always love about wheated products, and especially ours, is I get a ton of honey on ours, and I love that.
This is viscous too.
Yeah, on the nose, I haven't even gotten into it. Where you mentioning that, I would go. It's almost like it's got a little bit of lard on one side of the bread. Sorry, I just like it's a little bit.
Now you're just
on the fatty notes.
Yeah, and this is you were talking about how viscous, and it's 109.4, so it's not like blowing out of the water hot, and it's just got that much. Yeah, I mean it sticks to the glass.
Yeah,
that's got a really nice like you were saying, like a nice medium mouthfeel, and it's sticking around, like you were saying. What is lacking in some wheats, you have other stuff going on, and there's like a little bit of that wheat. When you said almost a rye, where it's like that little bit of a baking spice, a lot lighter, that's sticking around in the finish. But you do get more of that. You do taste the wheat as far as a grain in it. There's other things that kind of sometimes wear that out, but you are getting that through the top end of this.
Yeah, and this one doesn't necessarily, like most of our products, especially the higher rye ones, they really get you right here in the chest.
Yeah.
But this one just kind of leaves you right here.
Yep. Yeah. It really hangs out.
Yeah,
I like this one a lot.
I love this one. This one kind of got overshadowed at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival because we had our other two single barrel picks there and the Kindred, and so everybody was like, kind of, didn't have as fancy of a bottle look as the rest of them, and I think a lot of people missed out. And then we sold it. That we actually had quite a few cases of that, and we sold it after the festival, and I think we just sold out of it this past weekend, and so it did not. It shocked me that it took that long.
This has got a neat honey caramel, cinnamon note to it, and the good cinnamon. Everyone knows I make the distinction between cinnamon and aftershock cinnamon, which is fucking atrocious.
So was it being a single barrel though? Was this put in just a char one barrel?
It was a toasted and char one barrel. So I'm not sure the specifics on what the toast was, but I'm gonna assume it was some kind of baking spice toast to kind of offset that. But that'd be a good question for Jason, because it's not super heavy baking spice though. So I'd like to know what that offsetting toast was on that barrel. But yeah, it was a char one as well.
This is going to be dumb. Do you know what type of wheat you guys used?
I do not. It's whatever MGP uses.
Okay.
I'm sure you'd be able to find that somewhere. They live up. Well, they don't live too far from us, but they live a little bit more north than we do, so they're a little bit easier to get some wheat up there.
It almost tasted like a little bit of a red wheat, where you're getting that baking spice through it. We've had some other ones where you get a little bit more of that little rye, but it is so subdued in this one. I enjoy the part where it doesn't even come up. It's just like here.
Yeah.
And rolls away, which is neat.
See, mine's starting to open up more now, and you said something about like a fatty note. I've never smelled that before until you just said that. So, suggestion.
Yeah, he got me onto the baking bread and honey butter, and I'm like, no, it smells like just that edge, a little bit of a lard on the bottom. Where God, it's just that neat extra note to it. You're not supposed to like it, but really, come to find out, it's actually healthier than some of the other crap for you.
There you go. It's like wheat bread is a little bit healthier than white bread. It's like we're healthy.
That's right, especially when you cover it in lard and honey. One side with lard, one side with honey.
Yeah. Man, I gotta try that tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm trying to pitch beef tallow to the wife, and she was a little iffy on it at first. But I was trying to show him like it's healthier than other stuff if it's the grass-fed stuff. And don't ask me why, but if you buy a 4-pound tub of it, it's cheaper than a 1-pound little bag of. So I have to find someone to share with.
Hey, send it down. I'll send you our address.
That's fine, because I was like, I can't get away with buying 4 pounds of that. I just not.
Well, you could.
What is this tub in the freezer? What is this tub in here? That's not ice cream. Don't eat it like that.
Oh my god.
That's right. You do have a young kid.
Oh, that'd be like.
I would laugh my ass off at the same time. So
yeah, it's like when you tell them not to touch the stovetop and they finally do, and you're like, see, it's a lesson learned. Don't steal ice cream out of the freezer.
That's right. You never know what's going to be.
Yeah.
God,
Sir, okay. I'll ask you a looking forward question, or maybe you know the answer now. What do you want to change about whiskey?
Oh my goodness, the hard-hitting questions. I think we're starting to see less of it now, but I'd like to get rid of like the ego of people and what they drink. It seems to be a common thing, is like what you have on your shelf determines how good of a person you are. Like my shelf is the most basic, and I'm not saying I'm a good person or anything, but I mean, it's just like I don't feel like I have to have the best stuff. And now, granted, some of that stuff is really good that is expensive, but for the most part, you can find some really good stuff for a pretty good price. So I like I said, it's not as bad as it used to be, but just getting rid of that ego status thing would really make me smile.
That's part of what we love doing is taking a bottle that's $50 to say $70 or maybe $80 in a lot of cases, and there's people who have your 2, 3, 4, 500. And you're like, just slide it out for taste. It. What the hell is that?
Right. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is another thing I want to change is, or not change, but I want to see implemented in like bars or whiskey bars in particular, is more blind tastings. People, when they see a bottle or they know what's in the lineup, they're going to search for that specific product and pick it out because they think they know it's better.
Yep.
But I cannot tell you how many times we've had people just in our distillery where they do a bourbon flight and they're like, we're not rye people. And then we give them, we say, we don't even tell them what it is. We just give them, an extra one. And it's like, hey, try that. What do you think of that? And they're like, man, that's really good. What is that? And it's like, it's a rye. And so they go, ghost white. And so
it's fun to shatter people for a minute there.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, I get to see it on this side every day. And, we also have the opposite where people are really interested in trying everything, and they find stuff that they end up liking. What'd Kevin say? Is that wrong? No, that's perfect. That part of it is fine.
Yeah.
He's not even humble bragging either. He's just
yeah. We actually, we'll count it up at the end of the year. Whoever has the most bottles gets another free. Gets a hug from Jason. There you go.
Oh, well, there you go. Just don't tell Jason that surprise.
Yeah. Just Kevin walks in and like
Kevin just shows up. Hey.
Like with his hands like he's waiting.
Yeah.
Come on. And Jason like gives him a high five. He's like, "Hey, bud, thanks."
Well, it's funny is for someone to come into Buzzard Roost and they're like, "I don't like rye." It's like, well, neither did Jason. That's why it's here.
No, I'm not joking. That's my pitch. Is I said that Jason met up with Andrew one night, and he was like, "Man, if you can make me." And this may be a totally false story, but this is what I say. He went up to Andrew and was like, if you can make me a barrel that makes me like rye whiskey, I'll start a company or start looking into it. And here we are. And so the first thing we ever put out was a single barrel rye and a very small batch rye. And so those two things kind of launched our company until really 2 or 3 years ago when we started coming out with the bourbons. So the rye's kind of held us on for, through the COVID years and even beyond that, and kind of got us to where we are today. So,
well, and you guys always did an excellent job finishing what you were getting from MGP.
Yeah.
Mike and I have talked about that almost as an award that should be handed out at the end of the year when we do awards as best use of MGP. And it's not to just put it in another bottle and charge it $150. That's just.
But also the transparency award, because Jason's right off the bat. Yeah, I'm buying these barrels from MGP, and we're doing something different. We're not just sticking a label on it and making up a story.
Yeah, I mean that
was the best part. Is here we bought these bottles from MGP. Look what we did with it.
Right. Yeah. Well, so that's what I like to say is, especially in our ryes. MGP makes a really good product. All right, that's why that's a reason why people take just their product and just put it in a bottle and throw a label on it because it's that good as is. But what we do is so different and unique, especially in the ryes. Each one of our ryes, the core three that we have at least are the same mash bill. They're generally the same age. The only thing different is the barrels that they were in, and each one of them, you could in a blind tasting tell all three are different. You might not be able to pick out which one's which, but you could tell each one of them are very different. So, hats off to Jason and Judy and Andrew for creating those barrels and really putting a different spin on rye and making people like rye.
Yeah. So, have you guys with the barrels? Aside from what's being done to the barrels themselves, as far as the toast and the char, have you been getting into getting like really nerdy like Buffalo Trace did with, let's have these barrels all from trees from the same area and try to get predictable with this type of thing so you can be more consistent? Or is it just
we maybe not that in depth, like especially us being craft, we kind of have limited say on exactly what type of wood we get, but we do know that we season our wood for 18 months instead of the normal 3 to 6 months. So we're getting older wood already in these specific toast and char. The older age of wood is really a big aspect in that, and we've kind of not very many people do that, so we've kind of figured out that does help a lot. It almost saves in the long scheme of things, it saves just about a year of aging in the barrel just for letting that wood sit out there a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm. We've seen some other ones where it was
kiln dried, not good.
Yeah. Just kind of scary. And then you saw the same product put in something else, and you're like, oh wow.
Yeah.
That's sad.
We and luckily for me, so I did a little stint at the cooperage because I thought I was going to work there for a while. So I did a program there called the Master Craftsman, and I did everything from start to finish in that cooperage. The first day I was there, I was helping sort HR papers. And after that first week was working out in the yard where the wood's aging and drying and whatnot, and they did everything in between there until the end where they ship it out. And so I got to see firsthand just how much of a difference the drying of the wood makes. That was the most interesting part of the week of the few months that I was there. It's really cool to see fire and stuff getting burned, but it's really cool to see that process of moisture content to forming the barrel, because that is arguably one of the biggest parts before the actual treating of the barrel, if not the biggest part, but obviously before treating the barrel. But it's insane how much of a difference it makes. And so we've played a lot with that. And so we're trying to get more in tune with that so we can find a sweet spot for those seasoning staves and see if we need to do it a little bit less, maybe a little bit longer, or is right where we're at, where we need to be, and kind of figuring that out. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, no, it's all, every question's got an answer. That was a good answer. So one thing that I was really surprised at with, and it could have been the timing because more people were drinking, but Buzzards seem to get pretty good distribution in a short period of time. Mm-hmm. Like it got spread out. I mean, first it was like, well, I'm going to go visit this state. I'm going to visit this state. And then, then in fact, you can order online and get it. I mean, are you guys like always selling out of the bottles, or because it's like, holy cow, like you guys are able to, you're spread out, which is good.
Yeah. I wish that was the case. I think we make them too fast and we make the bottles too fast before they can sell out. So that's a good thing. But I gotta hand my hat off to Ryan Hitch. He's our national sales manager, and Judy especially for getting us into a lot of states really fast. I think by the end of this year we'll be in 24, 25 markets. And so what they're doing is they're trying to hammer out the hard ones to get into first. So we're in Ohio. I think we're getting close to being in Pennsylvania. We're in a lot of the East Coast, a lot of those control states. We're in Missouri. I do not believe we're up in Wisconsin yet, Pat, but we're going to be there soon.
We find our bottles find their way home.
Yeah.
It's like New Glarus for us, as we always find that down here somehow. But
yeah.
I've had weird people come up here and I think Mitch did that one time. He was like, well, I could fill up my trunk with it, go back and trade for actual whiskey.
He did the last 2 years going to Distill America, and this last year he actually went to Costco, because it's like
Yes, it's cheap.
$6 or $7 cheaper a case at Costco versus anywhere else. He's like, that means I could buy this many more cases. But I think he had 15 plus cases just to take back to Kentucky.
Yeah, I would not doubt it. It's such a big thing here. Like, we hear a lot of people talk about it. But yeah, so just getting into those states is it's grassroots. I mean, you're trying to get into each state and just get people to see your brand. I can't tell you how many times, because it is. I'll admit it's a little hard sometimes to go into a store and see a $75 bottle and just buy it straight off the shelf without knowing what it tastes like, because there's so many of them out there. But that's what helps us, is we get people that see that brand, they see the name, they come down to Whiskey Row or Louisville or Kentucky in general, and you go to different liquor stores or bars or see our distillery, and they come in and they're like, I've heard this, I have not tried it. I just want to see what it's about so I can tell my friends. And if they flew, they will buy one bottle and then say, I'm going to buy the rest of the collection when I get home. Or if they're driving, they end up buying quite a few bottles, because they it's one that's what I was saying earlier about how much I like the where the industry's going now, is people are taking those back because they're like, I have to show my friends or these people in these bourbon groups, because it's something new, it's something exciting, and people don't know about this yet, so they want to jump on that, which is really cool to see. So being in so many different states, it gets a little difficult to remember sometimes. But between where we're distributed and where we sell online, we've got a lot of states covered. So, like I said, hats off to the sales team. They're doing, I don't think anybody realizes how much they work. It is a nonstop gig. They're going 24, damn near 24/7. They are rolling the wheels. That's for sure.
And getting your product in the right places is a big deal, because there are some fantastic brands that have just gone by the wayside because they haven't had all the right aspects put together at the right time. Would be an okay way to put that.
Yeah, we're trying to find the states where it's hitting the hardest and kind of attacking those. So like Missouri's been great for us. Ohio's been really good. Illinois has been pretty solid as well, and Colorado is getting ready to start taking off. Texas. So some of those bigger states, we're getting into, and it's starting to look pretty good for us on that side of things and getting brand recognition at least.
I'm switching over to the last one Mike sent me, which is this Char 1 bottled and bond.
Yeah, that's why I've got that going.
Damn.
Yeah. A double oaked bottled and bond, probably the first one.
I would imagine.
When you're talking sweet, like a little bit of candy, I feel like this isn't at 50. It's not quite as potent, but it has some of the after effects of a higher drinking bourbon on the finish with the way it sticks around, and a little bit heavier in the notes. This one's really neat for 50, and for only a Char 1. I'm all over the place on this one, just because it had it was sweeter, and it has a neat, much longer finish.
Yes,
it's medium and it's neat. It's just a little spice going away. There's some honey notes. Sorry, I'm gonna go back again here.
Yeah, that's one thing I really like about the finish.
Yeah. This is a 45% wheat as well. So this is the first one that we did, and then we did a single barrel with the wheat. So this one, to me, whenever I first tried it, I was like, this is a s'mores in a glass. Like, it's got those graham cracker notes to it. It's got a little bit of that toasty marshmallow, and then right on the finish, I get a little bit of chocolate as well.
See, now you're getting the fat guy tasting notes going.
Yeah. Toasted marshmallow is the one where I was like, that was the one where I was like, I couldn't hit where it was going, where I'm like you said, you hit graham cracker, and I was almost like toasted graham cracker for a second.
Yeah.
The nose, you get now going back, you definitely get a little bit like that. A little bit darker chocolate, but I like medium, so that's where my brain takes me, because that's my sweet spot.
Yeah.
This one's been flying off the shelves.
It's got just a really great long finish to it.
This is if you're for all the people who are going to just hit like classic bourbon flavors, this has the backside is caramel, chocolate, a little bit of a light nut, baking spice, honey on the forefront, almost like a honey water at first. It's
Yeah, we always joke that if anybody, it's like addicting, because anybody that tries it at the distillery, they usually walk out with at least one bottle of it.
It has just enough drying thing where it almost works like pretzels at a bar, where it's like by the time you're done, it's dried out just enough. You're like, shit, I should have another drink.
I should keep going.
I should do this. Oh, that's why my bottle's like this.
Yeah, well, this one's a problem. Like the other
mine's getting there.
And this one's just like, I don't know what happened. I just drank it. It was gone.
Yeah.
It's like you wake up the next day, you're like, what? There's no way I drank that much of that.
Well, the one which I should have got one when I was there, but one that I found when I tried Kevin and we tried the American whiskey. It was like, this is bad.
Yeah, it is.
Like that's just it. I mean, it's just so good and so easy, and it's just you could just throw that back all day and all night long.
I agree with Kevin on that. That's probably as much. The cigar blend, maybe a little bit deeper and richer, but not as much. Oh, good call, Kevin. Yeah.
The American whiskey is really overlooked in our building just because we have everything else. But I'm not lying when I say this. In our top 3 of our kind of core products, I think it goes barrel strength bourbon, and then you can toss up bottled and bond or American whiskey. I throw American whiskey in there because for the price point and just how crushable it is, it's so good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It blew me away when we were releasing it, how good it was, because they were like, this is going to be like a lower price point. And I was like, okay, just didn't really have expectations going into it. I tried it, and I was like, well, you could sell that for $70 and it'd do really well.
Yeah, it's a really good whiskey. Enjoy that quite a bit. I did
a little bit of, and there's a little bit of mint on this too, like coming up on the back half of it and the swallow there. There's just a tiny hint of it, or it's my gas expel. I don't know.
Pat, I already warned Ethan about the blend. So I've had a blend going here. I know you probably don't have all your stuff in your romper room, but
I do. I came prepared in the romper room. I have to clean up tonight, though. I have to clean up tonight. That's the
problem. He's got a play date tomorrow. You don't want him to say anything.
Yeah, there you go.
Him and the other kid had a really good time, but then they got
tired. Took a hard nap.
Yeah,
they're asking me what we did here that got that to happen.
Yeah.
What'd you do? Our kid came home and slept really great. Like,
yeah.
All right. There we go. You got all 3. Did you go even on these, or did you go on a different?
Oh no, I always go even. Got to start off even.
Okay. Oh my God. Butterfinger, like butterscotch Butterfinger. Or Heath Bar.
So I want to ask you one question about since you've been running the still there.
Yep.
Have you run into anything? And if you don't want to talk about it, it's okay. But have you done something where now you're just like, I can't believe I did that?
Wait. Now, mind you, someone almost did implode their still while they were on our show.
Oh God,
that did happen because they were running. They were distilling while they were on the show.
And the alarm didn't go off that the water had
Yeah.
Well, I haven't done that. Knock on wood. Holy crap. I would say the first day that we got it, like it was working, it had been sitting like in construction with everything around it. Like all the caps were closed, so it wasn't getting any dust in it or anything. But it had just been kind of sitting there. So we Filled it up with water just to get some of anything that was in there, just rinsed out a couple times. And the first time we did that, we filled it up, and we were so excited that we got it filled up with water. We were like, all right, well, let's release it. We released it. It didn't take any – there was no openings, so it was just a big bubble just in the middle. It was like, boom, and then the pressure valve went off, and I was like, I broke it. I broke it on the first day, and we were like, dude, just open one of these caps, and we were like, oh. So we open it and just flows out, and I'm like, oh, man, this is.
Good.
Life
you only do that once, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounded like a gunshot. Me and Jason were sitting in there, and the pressure valve went off. We were like, what on?
Just flying around. What?
Yeah, I was like, what is? I was well, especially because that was like the first time that I was actually like doing my job. So, it was like I messed this up before we even got started. And, but other than that, no like production issues. I mean, nah, not really. Jason has done a couple things, but we won't talk about that.
Do you think there's a limit to the number of barrels you'll finish a product in?
As in like
maybe there's a rule. Jason says we'll double oak and that's it. Or do you think after you get to a point where you're like, this has been in 6 barrels?
So I don't know. We haven't really talked a whole lot about that. I think our products do enough on the double oaking side that we don't really have to do much else. I think there has been slight discussion of maybe like some kind of a triple oak where we, finish it in our double oak and then, or one of our barrels, and then just to see what it does, put it in like another one. But as far as I can tell, and what Jason and them have kind of, and Jason and Judy and I have discussed, I think for now we're going to leave it as is. Now, the cool thing is when we are bringing out distillate that we've distilled that's been aging, that's going to be cool to double oak because it'll be actual product that we've worked with and we know what it's going to taste like after we've aged it for so long, and then we get to play with that on the double oaking side. So that'll be pretty fun.
Have you guys the distillate that you've had coming off? Are you having other people try it too, just to see what they think of your run?
Yeah, we've had a couple people try it, distillers and people that have been in the industry, and I don't know if they're just being really nice, but they say it's pretty good. It's so good that Jason actually decided that we're going to sell it in 375s at our distillery. So that's what we've done. We've put it out, and Kevin, I think, has tasted it, and quite a few others. And it's even people that come on the tours and try it, they are really scared of it because it's scary. I mean, clear stuff is scary sometimes.
Yeah.
Come on, that's the most fun. I mean, you can tell the most coming off is still right away because there's something you're like, well,
yeah.
No matter what it is, wherever you put this, how do I put this? It's not like, how good is this going to be? It's going to be like, how do they clean this up?
Yeah. No, yeah. There's a saying that me and Jason say whenever we're going back and forth about our distillate and, what the standards are. And he's like, you can't put crap in a good barrel and expect it to come out good. So you have to have 2 good products that combine. So we always try and make sure that our stuff is the best. We do some really particular and precise cuts on the heads and tails and the hearts and whatnot. And our stuff is really enjoyable. I mean, it really is. You get, it's not overpowering. Obviously it's going to be raw and it's going to be grainy, but it's got actual notes that you can pick up some certain stuff. And yeah, like Kevin said, cocoa is a huge one that we get. So when we are going back and forth on our distillate and kind of maintaining profiles, we always look for obviously that grain note that's going to be there. And then the next couple things that we look for is chocolate and raisins. So you get that kind of like dried fruit, dried raisin note there. And if it's there with the chocolate on the finish, we're right where we need to be.
That's a good note. I was gonna say I like that raisin kind of plummy, darker, little bit of fruit note that goes into some things. I like that depth that brings.
Yeah, and that's going to be a cool thing to see in a couple of years is where that stands in the mix of the aged product. Because like, is that going to shine? Is that going to fall back? Are you even going to be able to taste that? But with as prominent as it is in our stuff right now, our distillate, I think it'll shine through, and I think it's going to have like a really interesting character when we get out, because it's going to, with that dried raisin, it's going to taste a little bit older, because dried fruit usually tastes older, but or comes out of older products, for me at least.
All right, so okay, on the blend. Hold on here. Yeah, like I said, this is crazy.
I got that Butterfinger in the nose, like you said. It's like that.
And like a nice milk chocolate, nice like dark.
Yeah.
Ooh. Holy shit. Okay. There's just a lot to fucking process there.
It's a good blend.
I might put this together and let it see what happens if it sits for a bit.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like each one of these is throwing out its excitement at you. So I can't tell what really happened to the blend at this moment, but there's a bunch of fun stuff happening. You know, I'm not normal.
Two of these three are the same mash bill, right?
Two of them are, but one of them's at barrel strength, the other one's at 100 proof. So.
Yeah, so it doesn't skew it that much. But we've had some 2 and 3 blends that they don't work, but that blend works.
Yeah, it's crazy because we'll blend our. Sometimes we'll do like when our tastings downstairs. Some people just won't show up. Sometimes we've already poured, so they'll pour them all together, and there's like 2 bourbons and 2 ryes. It's actually it's awesome. So I said we need to bottle that and just like present it to them like we did something crazy or we found something crazy, and just say, hey, try this. What do you think? They'd be like, oh yeah, that's awesome. It's like, all right, cool. You know, all those barrels we've been saving for those one product, let's blend them all together.
Yeah. A Buzzard's Boo Rye. That sounds good.
Boo Rye, there you go. Yeah. That's cool. Oh, speaking of that, I haven't even tried the Knob Creek one.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Well, I take that back. I see it in the local group where everybody's flipping stuff, but never seen it on the store.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm happy with like everything I tried tonight. So I'm jealous I didn't get to go and try these in person, but
I've not had a single thing ever from Buzzards that hasn't been good.
Yeah, usually I'm just a sample person, but I have delved into these a little more than I should have, maybe.
That's always the good thing is like people were like, well, you have to say that about your brand. I'm like, you know how easy it is to promote this when everything I've ever had from here is really good.
Yeah,
like it's just it's so easy. Like I could throw anything that we have at them, and I know it's gonna win them over. So
yeah, well, it's not like there's Jason is a little bit of a celebrity, but it's not like a celebrity brand where they're going to buy it because of who it is.
Right.
And it seems to be that there's more of a reputation on the line here than, so he's not going to throw anything out just to throw it out. It's like, well, we're just going to do this. It is truly, it's been truly unique. And we've been saying forever, we love the transparency, and I don't think there's a miss in anything that has been put out, because I don't, I know Jason that much, but I cannot imagine he would put out anything without it being something, because he doesn't want, there's no hits against him on it. Like, this is going to be, we're going to make sure this is good because it has to be good.
Well, that's what we say about some of like perennial, I don't want to say like perennial craft powerhouses, like Leopold Brothers, Iron Root. There's a few other ones where you really don't have misses. It's like you might like something more than the other, but I'm like, everything you have there is like, you go, you're going to be happy. Same thing with you guys. Is it Middle West? There's a couple other ones where it's like, well, whatever you hand out, most people are pretty happy with, and that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen often enough where you feel like people have command of all of their products. It's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, and that's what we're excited about too. Is whenever people actually get to try our product, that we have more times than not a fan of ours, and if they keep trying stuff and notice that we're putting out pretty good product, that means whatever we put out, they're going to buy because it's usually going to be pretty solid. So that's always good to have in your back pocket. And Jason and Judy, they do a phenomenal job of making sure that we have the best products on the market and making sure that we don't put anything out too soon or too late.
Right. Well, it's got a problem with me tonight, but that's okay. This is all it's all stupendous.
Yeah.
Well, it's enjoyable. There's only been a few times we've had some stuff on the show that was a subpar per se, but it's always neat when you're having something so enjoyable the whole time.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, guys. It means a lot to us.
Yeah, it's cool. And the other thing too is, which we didn't really talk about that much, but the distillery / tasting experience. I've only been down there twice. That place is sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great setup. And Dave mentioned the cocktails that were there. First time I was there, well, it was a day or two before the soft opening, and so they were testing. We were there. I was there with Kevin. They were like, "Well, would you like to go through the cocktails that we're going to put on the thing?" And the next thing you know,
I remember that. I do not remember that being
cocktails.
Yeah,
10 cocktails. Yeah. We're like, oh God.
I remember that now. That's funny that because I could not remember who was with Kevin that day, and I don't even know if we introduced ourselves.
I don't think so, because we were kind of in awe, and also at the same time we're like, I got to tap out at some point here.
Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that, because we were like, I mean, there was like nothing up. We were still doing construction, and Jason was like, "Hey, everybody, this is my friend Kevin. All right, let's taste the cocktails." And we just like went through them, and I was like, "Man, these guys are pretty lucky."
Yeah, that was very. They were excellent. God, they were good.
Yeah. They our bar staff does such a good job. Olivia, Sarah, and Dante down there, they all do a phenomenal job taking care of that bar, and they put their heart and soul into those drinks. They really do. It's not and you were talking about the tasting room. It's not an eyesore to go to every day and watch. Go and look at. So that's always a good thing.
It is a well done, again, a very classy, but not too classy. It's like everything is nice. It's clean. It's very well laid out. And then you got all the education stuff that's down there too, and the speakeasy. That's pretty sweet. It's definitely worth checking out if someone's coming to town.
Yep, we're at 624 West Main Street in downtown Louisville, Kentucky. Y'all come see us.
As they should. I'm making one more pour here before
we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I realized we're at like almost an hour and 15 minutes, so I think we should probably get off here relatively soon. Or at least I know I have to do a couple things tonight. Not that I want to anymore.
Well, it looks like you have to clean your room.
Someone's got to clean this up.
Is your race car bed over there too?
It's around the corner. You have to fix it. They want to go for a ride in a Ferrari, and then they get disappointed. I don't know what the fuck the problem is.
Just don't step on your Legos.
Well, I don't leave those out. That can ruin an evening.
That's awesome.
That would you know what? That would be really fun at a whiskey bar experience to have a Lego table.
I can only imagine the trouble that you're sitting here having a cocktail, Lego flies by your face.
Well, I'm just imagining you got some people. You get some people come in making some really cool stuff.
Yeah, or some really obscene stuff.
Well, there's that too.
Like, I don't think it goes a certain way there.
There's that too. That would just be the University of Louisville fans.
I like where your head's at, man. No, I can't.
Yeah. All right.
Well, you can a little bit, but
little hate, little love.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a lot of that in a lot of places. So.
That's right. Yeah.
No, Kevin, not everyone's doing that. Next week we have Drew Crowley coming on. I was gonna say, we've had him on before. He used to actually be Kevin's co-host, but he has moved on with his music career, and we'll be talking with him about that. He did used to work at
Old Forester. He was a taster blender at Old Forester
for a while. So we will be talking with him, and I have the okay that we can actually play some of his music. So hopefully YouTube does not just ban us instantaneously as we play some of his music, which it should not, but you never know because it's YouTube.
You never know.
We recognize that algorithm. You are banned. So, but Ethan, it has been awesome talking to you. I am so happy they added you to everything that's going on there, and I can't wait to see everything that you guys put out. Like we said, has been a hit, if not a home run, and it is fantastic because it's hell. Even this blend has got me. It's playful. Everything you're having is good, and even you blend it and you get to play with it, see where it goes. It keeps you excited. And I almost needed that for a little bit, so thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate y'all talking to me and just having me on. You know, I never think I'm a big deal, and then I get to do this kind of stuff, and I'm like, hey, somebody cares about what I got to say, right?
Yeah.
But no, I really do appreciate you guys having me on, and hopefully we can do this again because I've had a lot of fun tonight.
Yeah, I would love to do it again, and and people need to come down and go and visit.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always go to Bourbon's Bistro to eat, and definitely come down and go check out the distillery.
Yeah. Well, and that's neat to be able to have, and the tasting room to have on, being able in that area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It adds that area. Oh, Donald, good to see you from the Great North on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Cheers. I know you have something to drink. It's probably Irish, but whatever. You should get a hold of this, and if you don't, maybe next time you come down, we'll get some in your hands. So
there you go.
All right. Well,
yeah, I do want to make sure we cheers out and thankful Emily, who's in the chat, weathered the hurricane. She made it through relatively unscathed, although loss of power. So glad that she's back, and she has internet as of in the last 24 hours.
Well, she's here. So
she's here. She's got her power, and so that's good. And so appreciate that, and glad that she's doing all right. And hopefully don't have any more storms like that we have to worry about, because it's unfortunate.
And this past week was Jolie's and our former co-host Benji's.
They both had their birthdays. That's true.
So cheers to them as well too. Before we get out of here.
Yeah.
So, like we said, Ethan, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. We look forward to having you back again, because the stuff you're putting out is outstanding. And if you're going to Louisville, definitely a bunch of places to stop at. Add them to your list. You already know them because we talk about them all the time. But remember, it's not the size of the den that matters. It's the love of whiskey. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What?